In the world of General Hospital, wedding rings have always carried the weight of destiny. They are small, circular symbols, yet they hold entire lifetimes of love, betrayal, redemption, and hope. From the legendary unions of Luke and Laura to the turbulent vows of Sunny and Carly, a ring is never just jewelry in Port Charles. It is a promise, a prophecy, and sometimes a secret. But what if one wedding ring didn't just belong to a fictional storyline? What if it carried a hidden real-life history that quietly connected actors, generations of fans, and the legacy of General Hospital itself? This is the story of a wedding ring with a secret past, and the emotional bond it created, one that no one ever expected. It began on what should have been an ordinary day on set. A romantic storyline was unfolding. Cameras were rolling, lighting was perfect, and the dialogue had been rehearsed 100 times. A proposal scene, one of those moments fans wait for, the kind that becomes part of soap history. The actor slipped a ring onto his co-star's finger, and the director called, "Cut." Everyone applauded. Another beautiful moment captured. But the ring didn't come from the prop department. It was real. Not just real gold. Not just real diamonds. Real history. What no one realized at first was that this ring had already been part of a love story long before it ever appeared on General Hospital. It had once belonged to a marriage that predated the current cast, a union connected to the show's past in a way that would later leave fans in awe. The ring had traveled through time, through hands, through heartbreak and healing, until it found itself back where it somehow always belonged, in Port Charles. Years earlier, long before social media spoilers and behind-the-scenes videos, a young actor had joined General Hospital. He wasn't a legend yet. He was just another hopeful performer stepping into a massive legacy. On set, he met a woman who worked behind the scenes. She wasn't a star, but she was part of the heartbeat of the show, one of those unseen professionals who keep the lights on and the stories moving. They fell in love quietly, away from the drama of fictional betrayals and on-screen triangles. When he proposed, he gave her a ring that was custom-made. Inside the band, engraved so small that only the wearer could see, were the words, "Our story began in Port Charles." They married. They dreamed. They built a life. But like many real-life love stories, theirs didn't last forever. They eventually parted, not with scandal, but with sadness and respect. The ring was returned, not in anger, but in closure. It was placed in a velvet box and tucked away, a relic of a chapter that had ended. 4 years, it remained there, silent, waiting. Time passed. Cast members came and went. Storylines evolved. Legends retired. New faces arrived. One day, the same actor, now older, wiser, carrying the weight of decades in the industry, was asked to return to General Hospital for a special arc. His character was to be involved in a major romantic storyline, one that would culminate in an engagement. The prop department offered a selection of rings. None of them felt right. He paused, then said something unexpected. "I have one." He went home and opened the velvet box. The ring still shone. The engraving was still there. The memories were still alive. But he no longer saw it as a symbol of loss. He saw it as a symbol of where everything had begun, of the show that gave him a career, of love that once bloomed under studio lights, and of time's ability to transform pain into meaning. He brought the ring back to set. And with the blessing of everyone involved, it was used on screen. No one announced it. No one made a big deal out of it. But that ring, with its hidden words and its forgotten past, became part of a new love story, one watched by millions. Years later, during a fan event, someone asked a simple question. "Is that the same ring you used in your first marriage?" The actor smiled and nodded. The room went silent. Then came the gasps, the tears, the emotional realization that something so personal, so real, had been woven into the fabric of a show they loved. It wasn't just a prop. It was history. It was a bridge between past and present, between real life and fiction, between the people who create General Hospital and the fans who live through it every day. Suddenly, the ring wasn't just part of a storyline, It was part of the show's soul. Soap operas are unique. They grow with their audience. A fan who watched in the 1980s can still be watching today, decades later, sharing the experience with their children and grandchildren. When fans learned that a real wedding ring, one that had once symbolized an off-screen love, had been quietly written into an on-screen romance, it felt like destiny. It proved something beautiful. That General Hospital is not just a TV show. It is a living, breathing world where real emotions and fictional stories intertwine. The ring became a symbol of continuity, a reminder that the past is never truly gone in Port Charles. Legacy, that every actor, every crew member, leaves a piece of themselves behind. Love, not just scripted love, but the real kind, with all its joy and sorrow. A ring has no beginning and no end. Neither does the connection between General Hospital and its fans. That wedding ring, once exchanged in a quiet real-life ceremony, then passed through heartbreak, then reborn under studio lights, represents something rare in television: authenticity. It reminds us that behind every dramatic close-up, every tearful vow, every passionate kiss, there are real people with real stories. And sometimes, those stories leave behind a physical trace. A small circle of gold. An engraving only a few ever read. A secret history that turns fiction into something far more powerful. The Bond fans never expected. Fans tune in for drama, romance, and suspense. They don't expect relics of real love to appear in the middle of a storyline. They don't expect a piece of an actor's personal past to become part of the mythology of Port Charles. But when they learned the truth about that ring, something shifted. It felt like a gift. A reminder that the show they've loved for generations is built not just on scripts, but on lives. And so, whenever that episode re-airs, whenever that proposal scene plays, some fans look a little closer. They don't just see a character promising forever. They see an echo of a real promise, made long ago, in the same place, under the same lights. A wedding ring with a secret history. A real-life General Hospital Bond. One no one ever expected, but one that now feels like it was always meant to be.